And welcome everyone tonight to Maranatha Live. And if you are watching on Facebook or Facebook Live or YouTube Live, we welcome you. I'm going to stall here for a couple of seconds, let some people get logged in. But I do want to talk to us tonight about getting back to church. We're going to be getting back to church on the 28th of this month. We're looking very forward to that. And this coming Sunday actually is Father's Day. So let me just take a moment and wish all of the fathers out there a very happy Father's Day. Unfortunately, we won't be in church. Of course, we weren't in church for Mother's Day either. But we do want to wish all of our fathers a very happy Father's Day. And fathers are very important. But we look forward to being back in church on the 28th. And I've got some exciting news to talk to you about. But just before I get to all of that, I want to explain something to everybody, because after last week's Facebook Live session, several people asked what happened to me. I didn't realize last week that as I was talking, I was waving my arms, and I guess my camera might have been a little further away because you could see, well, you can still see it's black and blue here, and that was showing last week. I didn't realize it was showing. The reason I didn't realize it was showing is because I don't see myself when I'm on live. I am on the monitor, but my monitor's over there. And if I were to look at myself, I wouldn't be looking at you. And that's annoying to me when I'm watching somebody on a live session like this, and they're never looking at you. They're always looking at themselves in the monitor. It's like, hey, I'm out here. So the way I have to set myself up here in my office is my monitor's over there, my camera's here, and I like to have eye contact with you. So I didn't realize that as I was talking, my arms were flailing, and everybody was seeing that I was all black. It was cleared up quite a bit, as you can see. It's much better this week. And people wondered if I fell off the scaffolding at work, at church while I was working over there, or what exactly happened. And I did not injure myself. I know that sounds crazy. How do you have your whole arm all black and blue like that and have not injured yourself? Let me tell you what happened. And I'm going to tell you what happened, and then I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing I did. All right? Bear with me. I'll explain. This happened to me, and this is improved from last week, but this happened to me from donating blood. I donated blood a week ago yesterday, and that was what happened to me. Now, here's why it happened. I am type O positive. That's my blood type. As a result of being O positive, my particular blood type is universal, which means regardless of what your blood type is, if you needed a blood transfusion, you can take my blood. O positive goes into anybody. As a result of that, they want, if you're willing to, they want O positive people, and I think there's two other blood types, and I forget exactly what they were. I think maybe A. I don't even want to say. But what they can do is you can give more red blood cells than a normal donor, because what they can do with O positive is they can take your platelets and your plasma. And please forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, and if you're involved with the Red Cross and I'm botching this up, trust me, I'll make it right. But they can take your platelets and your plasma out of your red blood cells and put the platelets and the plasma back in your vein, so that they can now draw even more red blood cells, which is what they need for transfusions. So O positive, which I am, can give twice as much red blood cells as other people can. And so what happened last week was they took my blood out, and then when the machine kicked in to put the plasma and the platelets back into my arm, somehow it wasn't connected to my vein properly. And instead of going into my vein, all the platelets and the plasma were going under my skin and just getting pushed. You know, my skin was bulging and it was swelling, and the nurse looked over, saw it, came running over and shut it down and said, all right, we can't, it's not going to work this time. So the swelling went down within an hour and a half or so, but as a result, my arm just turned completely black and blue. Completely painless. The whole thing was painless. The worst pain I experienced that day was when they stuck the needle in my arm to withdraw the blood. That was the worst pain I felt. The black and blue didn't hurt. So that's what happened to my arm, and that's why my arm was black and blue and in this condition. Looks a lot worse than it is. That said, let me encourage all of you. if you are able to, please do become a blood donor. Donate blood to the Red Cross, especially now since COVID-19 hit and the blood supply is down because people have not been able to go in and donate blood. If you're not going to donate, what they call it a power red, where they put the platelets and the plasma back in you. It's a half hour. Painless, virtually painless. If you've ever had blood drawn, you know what the little prick in your arm feels like. It's nothing to it. They encourage you to sit down, have a bottle of juice or water and a snack before you walk out the door. I do it just to be obedient. When I get off the table, I feel fine. I can just walk out and go home. They encourage you because you just did lose some blood to sit down and relax for a minute. Just do it. I do it. You know, why resist all the time? So at any rate, I want to encourage you to be a blood donor. If you're not a blood donor, it's important that we help one another out. And I pray while I'm on that table, while they're drawing my blood, I'm praying the whole time, Lord, whoever gets my blood, I pray somehow they will also hear the gospel. Somebody somewhere will come to them with the gospel. Don't let just my blood keep them physically alive. Send someone to give them spiritual life. So you pray the same thing. Go ahead and give blood. Go ahead and sign up for it and give blood. All right. So we are going to be opening church, as I said, on the 28th. I'm looking very forward to it. I do want to remind all of our Greet team, and I'm going to be calling you. Hopefully, I'll call you before Friday of this week. I'm going to try to reach out to every one of you. We do have to have some training, and I know we've been helter-skelter all over the place with when this training is going to be. I'm going to do the training Monday night, this coming Monday night, which will be the 22nd. I'm going to do it at 7 o'clock. I understand that interferes with some of your life groups, and if it does, I apologize. Please let your life group leader know why you're not there. And if you're part of the Greet staff or want to be part of the Greet staff, you have to reach out to me. I'm going to be calling all of our previous Greet staff people, but if you want to join in, you got to contact me because I won't know. Let me know you want to be part of the team. We're going to go over some details, some things that have to happen, understanding of what we're doing, how we're doing it, what we're going to be telling people. We have done a lot of wonderful changes in the building. I can't wait to get back in the building and see all that we've done. We've got a nice new welcome center in the back. When you walk in, you're wondering where is that? How's that? Wait till you get there and see what we've done to create a welcome center, to block off our sanctuary from the welcome center, and it's looking beautiful. The platform is being totally remodeled, and it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful to get back in church. I want to give you a little bit of a heads up when we do get back in church. We are going to have some chairs taped off. Please do not remove any tape. We'll be telling you that as you come through the door. They're going to be taped off so that you are forced to sit with social distancing. All right. I want to remind everyone that we are going to, it's not etched in stone where there's not give or take, but for the most part, we'd like our 55 and older to come to our 8:30 service. We'll be holding two services. We want our 55 and older to come to our 8:30 service, and we want our 55 and younger to come to our 10:30 service. They're going to be the same services, same sermon, everything's going to be the same. If you are uncomfortable coming back into public, especially if you're elder or you have pre-existing conditions and you are fearful and you're just not ready, please don't worry about it. We are still going to be recording our church services, and all of our church services are going to be online on YouTube as they were. They won't be there first thing Sunday morning as they were. They'll probably be, I would say they'll be live by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Our services will be live on YouTube. We're not live streaming yet. Our goal is to one day live stream. So if you can't make it to church, you'll be able to watch the church service as it's happening. We're not quite there yet. Don't quite have the equipment. I don't want to do a lousy job. I don't want to, I want to do a first class job when we do that. And so we're working towards that. We're going to be live streaming eventually. So I encourage you to avail yourself of that. So if you're not comfortable coming, don't come. If you feel sick, stay home. If you think it's just a cold, stay home. Whatever. Just why spread anything, even if it's not COVID-19? Why spread anything? Okay, so if you're not well, just stay home. So we're looking very forward to it. We're going to have some chairs taped off. Please do not remove tape and sit in chairs that are taped off. We are probably not going to be having altar calls, simply because obviously we're not going to all come down to the altar and stand arm in arm with each other like we used to. Temporarily, I say we're not going to have altar calls. That does not mean if someone needs prayer for some kind of healing, non-contagious healing, we will have people come down. People want the Holy Ghost, come down. I think at this point, we are going to require masks to be worn while you're entering or leaving the building. Once you're in your seats, the mask can come off, because the masks are promoted if you can't maintain 6 foot social distancing. So we're going to ask you to put a mask on as you're coming in the building. You get to your seat, take it off. On your way out of the building, put it back on, because you will undoubtedly come possibly closer to people entering and exiting the building. But we're looking so far, I think it's going to be wonderful. Wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in your midst. It's just going to be wonderful to be back in the house of God. It's going to be wonderful to see all of you and to experience Jesus together. It's wonderful in the living room. In fact, I took some pictures. I don't know if I'm going to put them up on Facebook or not, but I took some pictures of the First Lady just this past Sunday during our personal worship. Just her and I watching YouTube and listening to Jameson and Erica. And this past week, Sister Takara joined in. Jameson and Erica had stopped over to visit the McCoys, and Takara jumped in. And what an anointed, beautiful worship service this past Sunday was. And I think I took a short video, but I did take pictures of the First Lady. Was there as those 3 were singing. She just stood up to her feet, had her hands raised, and was just worshiping God. And Jesus is everywhere. And that's why I say, if you're fearful of coming and you're not ready quite to put yourself at risk, stay home. But if you can come. And if you can invite somebody to come, that's time for us to let our light shine. I mentioned that last week. I'm not going to be a long time tonight, but I mentioned in my sermon last Sunday about letting our light shine and to be the change that we want to see in society. And I've practiced that this week, more so than I have in the past, saying hi to people, smiling at people, asking people how they're doing. I'm not weird about it. I had to run over to BJ's today to pick up some things. I didn't walk down the aisle and everybody I say, hey, how you doing? Hi, how are you? Hi, hey, how you doing? Then they think you're nutty. And you defeat the purpose. But as I've had opportunity, I've smiled, I've said hi to people, I've nodded at them, I've said, how you doing? I just want to lift society up a little bit. I just want to lift society up. And incidentally, speaking of lifting society up, I got a phone call this week. Someone asked if they could use me as a job reference, and I said, of course I can. So it was with the police force, actually, the ones that called me up. And listen, I've got a soft spot in my heart for police. And like I said, I know not every policeman or woman is perfect. I think 99.9% of them are not perfect, but are good, honorable. It only takes the 0.1% to ruin it for everybody. So it is in anything, and it's sad. What's sad about it is, you have one cop, let's say you have one cop, I don't know, I'm just going to pull a number out of my hat because this is about what I think of it. I think there's about 1 cop in 1,000 that might be a little, overboard. Most of them are just honorable. They're trying to do a job. They're people. They have bad days, just like you and me. They might be a little short sometimes. Give them a break. You don't know what these guys and girls deal with. We just don't know. At any rate, to take the one cop who does wrong and to paint the whole society or the whole police society as bad people, that's no different than you or I being racist. It's absolutely no different. It's no different than me if I was walking down the street and I got robbed if a black guy walked up and robbed me. Is every black person a thief? Is every black person bad because that one was? But you see, that's what happens to us, doesn't it? We got robbed by a black person. We don't like black people. That is crazy. It's absolutely, just because one did something, not everybody. And if you got shunned, if you're a black person, you got shunned, turn a cold shoulder to by a white person. Does that mean every white person's like that? Of course not. We've got to overcome that. We have to overcome not treating an entire group of people according to how one of those people treated us. And the same is true with the police. So many of them are honorable men and women trying to do a job and to protect us. And I got to chuckle because if you're not familiar, if you're following the news at all, you know about Chaz. Chaz is part of the Seattle, Washington city that has separated, that cut themselves off. They're a new country. They say they're their own country. They police themselves. This is how crazy. Defunding the police is crazy. Listen, can they use more training? Any of us can. I need more training as a minister. I still go to training. I still get online. Our headquarters, our organization still offers ministerial training. I still take courses online. I still read things. I'm always trying to better myself. I've been in the ministry for over 40 years. Doesn't mean I can't learn something new and be better at it. The police are constantly learning things new. But here's this group now in Chaz, and I have to chuckle because this is how crazy it is. Their new police are themselves. And that's their thing. We'll police ourselves, they say. Okay, have at it. Well, someone's got a video of one of the new police holding his rifle, arguing with one of the citizens. Listen, I don't mean to chuckle, but it's so crazy. This world is crazy. My friend, this world needs Jesus. It needs Jesus so badly. This new police officer of this new country, they say they're a new country now, of Chaz, is holding a rifle and he's arguing with one of the citizens, and it's in the video. He says, "Quit arguing with me, or don't give me any or don't whatever. Do as I say." And this is what I quote, "Or I'll blow your brains out." Welcome to the new police force. Do it like I said, or I'll blow your brains out. It's like, come on, one bad cop and we don't want any of them anymore? One bad preacher, do you not want me anymore? How many preachers have abused people in their congregations? How many preachers have stolen money from their churches? How many preachers have been dishonest? Are they all no good? Come on now, we got to use our heads here. You know, one black person does something. Are they all no good? One white person does something. Are they all no good? One cop does something. Are they all no good? And so anyway, to make a long story short, which I've already made the long story long, I was talking to this police officer giving this interview for this. I was being used as a job reference. And when we were all done, I said, this was an officer that called me. I said, "Officer, I just want to tell you something." He said, "What's that?" I said, "I just want you to know I'm praying for you guys." And I could tell he was taken back and he was moved. And he said, well, thank you. He said, "We really need it." I said, I pray for you. I pray for you all the time. You guys have a tremendous responsibility, a difficult job. And right now it's really hard for you guys because of the pressure getting and the coverage you're getting. And I said, "I just want you to know that I'm praying for all of you. I pray for your safety. I pray for your well-being." And he was just, you could tell he was just so appreciative that somebody understands they're not all bad. Sometimes they have to be rough. In fact, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll check to see if there's any questions here. But I saw a video. There was a gent. He was a black gent. I'm only bringing up skin color. I never do this, but I'm bringing up skin color just so you understand how fair these people that are doing this are trying to be. There was a black gentleman who was anti-police, defund the police, picketing. And they asked him if he'd be willing to go on a police obstacle course and be put into live situations of what the police face many times on a daily basis. And he says, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." And thank God somebody was fair enough to listen to the other side. And that's the problem with our society today. Nobody's willing to listen to the other side. Everybody's got their mindset. You're wrong, I'm right. Let's not discuss it. This guy, God bless him, was willing to listen to the other side and say, "Sure." They said, "We're going to put you through instances. They're pre-designed instances. It's not real. It's all, but they're things that they put their police through to help them learn what it's like when you're on the streets and what you're facing." He said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." So they put him in 3 scenarios. In two of those, now one of those three scenarios, the perpetrator was armed, all fake, but the perpetrator was armed with a fake weapon. But the perpetrator was, and they act out. These guys that they act out just like someone on the streets would act, and they're rough, they're mean, and they just like what a police officer would confront on the street. So they asked him if he would play the part of the police officer and go through this course. He said sure, he would do it. Thank God people are like that are still willing to listen with it. So anyway, he goes through it, and it's a video. I think I saw it on Facebook. You might have seen it. You might know what I'm talking about. And so forgive me if I have some of the details wrong. But in two of the three situations, he fired his weapon at the perpetrator. In only one of the three circumstances was the perpetrator actually armed. One time he fired on an unarmed person because of the threat, and one of the things he realized, and this is what he said when he was all done, his takeaway was this. He said, and I forget his exact words, but along the lines of, I'm shocked at how little time these guys and girls have to react, how little time they have to make a decision of if I'm going to use deadly force or not. They have less than 10, and if you think 10 seconds is a long time, count it out. When you're in a problem, time flies by. When your adrenaline is flowing. They've got many times less than 7 to 10 seconds to make a decision whether they're going to fire their weapon or not. And it's either make the decision or possibly die. Possibly die. And so in two of those three circumstances, once when the perpetrator was armed, he fired. The other one, the perpetrator was not armed and he fired because he was being so threatened physically that he had to fire his weapon. Fake weapon, fake shot. But he fired his weapon. And this is what he said when he was done. This was his takeaway. He said, I never realized, and folks, listen to me, I don't care if you're white or black. And I know black people have to deal with this. We talked with Brother McCoy a couple of weeks back, and he mentioned how, what he has to deal with. He's a member of our church, a black member of our church. What a fine man he is. It was his wife, Takara, that was singing this past Sunday. She's on our platform. But at any rate, he talked about, being pulled over by the police and what he has to, but this black anti-police protester, after going through that course, made this statement at the end. He said, I see more clearly than ever how important it is to comply, just comply. If they say, stand against the car and spread your arms out on the hood of the car, just do it. Oh, why should I have to? Maybe you don't have to. Why argue with them? Why risk elevating the circumstance? Why? And incidentally, this black man that was going through what the cops were going through was not facing black people. If I remember correctly, I think two of the three of them were white. In fact, all three of them might have been white. And he fired his gun twice. Only one time was the perpetrator armed. They have such a split. He said, I am overwhelmed with how important it is to comply. Should I have to do this? Maybe not. But is it worth escalating the circumstance to the possibility of physical force, harm, or even death? Take it up with the courts later. Take it up with the judge. At least you'll be alive. I don't care if you're white or, listen, when I get pulled over, and I have been pulled over. It's usually for speeding. Usually if I get pulled over, it's for speeding. A couple of times, I can't remember if I ever got pulled over for wrong. Usually I have my license all up to date. Anyway, I'm usually pulled over for speeding. When I get pulled over, I pull over as far as I can. I get my license as quickly as I can, and then I put my hands on my steering wheel. I roll my window down so the cop can talk to me when he gets here, or passenger side, usually the passenger side, because they oftentimes come to the passenger side now. I have my hands on the steering wheel while he's still in his car. Wait, can you see me? While he's still in his car, my hands are on my steering wheel, sitting there just like this. I don't care how long he takes. I keep my hands on my wheel. I don't move him. Why? Because I want him to know I'm not a threat. I am not going to threaten him. When he comes to my window, my hands are still on my wheel. When he asks me for something, if I don't have it handy, I will tell him what I need is. And I ask him, is it okay if I get that? Have your, if I forgot my registration, whatever, it's in my glove compartment. I'll say, yes, my registration is in my glove compartment. Is it okay if I reach over there and get it? I am so polite. And maybe it's because I have law officers in my family. My brother-in-law is retired now, but state income officer. His son-in-law is a New York State trooper. His grandson is now a New York State trooper. That's my kids' cousins is who it is. My sister's kids, state troopers, and I know how they feel. I know how difficult when they pull a car over. They don't know this is a life and death. This could be a life and death situation. So I'm just asking us to be a little more. Yes, could some of them be a little harder on you because you're black? Maybe, but is it worth ruffling their feathers and putting someone's life at stake? It's just not worth it. Just keep your hands on the wheel. If you're out in public and even if what they're doing is wrong, listen, especially now, bring it up when you go to court. This guy was very rude to me, treated me very badly, and I was very kind. Listen, I think a judge will listen to you. So just keep those things in mind. I guess that's what I want to talk about. Let me see if there's any. Let me just throw my glasses on here, see if there's any questions here. It looks bad. What looks bad? The image? Yeah, I got my lights are down. I'm sorry about that. I will get that fixed for next week. I got to fix my camera. That is a great video. So, it looks like Mark Masterson. Mark Masterson here says, let's see. Mark Masterson says, that's a great video, helps to see the pressures, what they go through. So I take it Mark Masterson did indeed see that video. If you haven't, look it up. I don't know what you could find it under. Look it under, I don't know, just do a Facebook search for, I don't know. I don't think of something. Think of something to write that you might find that video. It is a very good video. But I don't see any real questions, but I do want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. The biggest news is a week from this Sunday, we're back in church. Listen, make the effort, get there. If you're not used to coming to church, come to church. Call somebody up. Why don't you call somebody, ask them to come to church with you? Bring someone to church with you. Come on, let's get back. Let's make church a priority. Let's make Christianity a priority. Let's make Christian principles a priority in our daily life. Let's be the change we want to see. Let's love each other. Let's smile at each other. Let's say hi to each other. Let's invite people out to church. Invite people to your life group. Let's be ambassadors for Christ. Amen. Next week, the image will be better. I'll fix that. I just got to fix my lighting. I got in late tonight. I was working at the church. I had to run out and got back. I had to do some things real quick. So I will work with lighting next week. In fact, I have a whole set of lighting that's not even on right now, which is why, because it was glaring. I didn't have time to adjust everything. So I apologize about the quality of the image. All right. God bless you all. If you need me for anything, you know my phone number. Please call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. If you have any questions, let me know. I will be trying to reach out to all of our REIT team, and we'll just keep going forward. God bless you all. I love you. Pray for me. I'm praying for you. Again, if you need anything, I do want to tell. Let me give you one quick miracle report. Brother David Gardner. I don't know if some of you know David and Susan Gardner. David Gardner had a stroke this past week, and we got a phone call from Susan, his wife, and she said, please pray for David. He's in the hospital. He had a stroke. She had no idea how serious it was. She didn't know because they wouldn't let her in. She called us for prayer. I immediately sent messages out to all of our life group leaders to pray for David, who had a stroke. I called the next day. I couldn't reach anybody. I didn't know what was going on. 2 days later, I think it was 2 days later, I called. You ready for this? I called thinking I'm going to get a hold of Susan, his wife, to try to find out how David is doing. Having had a stroke, and guess who answers? David. Hello. I'm like, David? Yeah. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. I'm like, didn't you just have a stroke? He said, yeah, I did, but evidently it was a mild one. I'm home now. I'm doing great. So I just want to thank God. It was almost like I was like, like, what? Who am I talking to? He was as chipper as could be, as happy as could be, like nothing happened. But that's David. If you know David, that's the way he just goes through life. What it is, what it is. What happens, happens. He was as upbeat, as chipper as could be. Oh no, I'm fine. I'm doing great. So, but do keep David and Susan in prayer. He, regardless of how great he is, he did have a stroke. Might have been a mild one, but that's dangerous. So let's pray for their health and let's get back in church and let's have a time. Amen. God bless you. Reach out to me if you need anything. Love you all. Praying for you all. Amen. God bless you.